Week 16 already underway in the NFL. Justin Herbert brings the Chargers back to defeat the division rival Denver Broncos, and we are making picks for the rest of the schedule for Week 16. Coming at you right now.
NFL analyst Brian Peacock and former NFL scout Matt Williamson bring you expert NFL analysis every day in less than 30 minutes. Get an inside look at the NFL on the field and in the front office with elite breakdowns to next-level analysis and in-depth information only for the real NFL fans. This is Peacock and Williamson, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Peacock and Williamson NFL Show. Brian Peacock alongside Matt Williamson, as always, at BD Peacock at Williamson NFL. Thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I know the everydayers out there are subscribed. Welcome to the new listeners as well. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Helps us out tremendously on YouTube or wherever you are listening to this podcast. And today's episode of Peacock and Williamson is brought to you by Hillsdale College. Go right now to hillsdale.edu/lockedon to enroll. There's no cost, and it's easy to get started. Good one on Thursday night to start Week 16, and there's a lot of fun scenarios and playoff scenarios as we start getting closer and closer to the end of the regular season, and some possible clinchers this weekend as well, and we'll get to some of those picks and some of those games. But, man, what a game, and really, I was surprised. It looked like the Denver Broncos were going to put away the Los Angeles Chargers in this one early in the second half. And Justin Herbert just caught fire and made some ridiculous throws. One of my favorite throws is, it's not as beautiful. It's not a 60-plus air yard throw, but the rusher in Justin Herbert's face, and for his ability to be able to get the ball out, not even be able to finish his throwing motion, his follow-through, to be able to hit that deep crosser and be perfectly on the money. It's just ridiculous talent that Justin Herbert can display sometimes, making some plays with his legs as well, and really kind of put the team on his back late in that game and was able to bring them all back. And hey, Matt, we got a free kick.
How crazy was that? Yeah.
the always fun, which I've never experienced in my entire life because there hasn't been one since 1976, which I think was actually the Chargers as well. A free kick. I ended up not needing those exact 3 points, but it did help the Chargers to victory over the Denver Broncos on Thursday night to start Week 16. So both teams now 9-6, and the tiebreaker is owned by the division rival Chargers over the Broncos now. But, we're talking about 5, 6, 7 seed and we're nearly locked in. I'll talk about some scenarios in a second.
Yeah, and I actually think the free kick mattered. It kind of felt like that was kind of what kickstarted some of that momentum, literally. They were kind of struggling in the first half, and it's like, you're going to give me this opportunity for 3 free points without anybody rushing. Okay, I'll take that into the half and get things figured out.
There was a little bounce in their steps as they walked the field at halftime. Harbaugh was happy about it. By the way, Harbaugh attempted a free kick. Like, Harbaugh knows this rule. He attempted a free kick with the 49ers like 10 years ago. And it was
really?
Phil Dawson was the kicker for the Niners. It was like a 70-yard.
You'll go Phil. I was with him in Cleveland.
Yeah, but he did not make the 70-yarder. This one was only I think it was right at 60 yards. They were kicking it right from about the 50.
Well, the beauty is they took a penalty on to move you up to make it kind of feasible. You know what I mean? On the fair catch, which was great. That aside, and that was cool. And I got all kinds of texts like, "What is going on here? Please, Matt, explain." I'm like, "Well, I can kind of explain, but I don't quite get it. Now I have a better grasp."
Yeah.
But speaking of Harbaugh, I was a very Harbaugh toughness. We got to have it. Foundation, culture, stop the losing skid, extinguish. I know you're talking about scenarios, the hopes of the Dolphins, Colts, Bengals that still have this life if you keep stumbling. National game. And I love that. I mean, Harbaugh's a quirky dude, obviously, but I love when he took over, he said, well, I used to be the toughest quarterback in NFL history. Now it's Justin Herbert. You've said this for years, how he pumps up his quarterbacks. And remember Herbert coming out of Oregon? He's kind of a reserved, not a rah-rah guy. We don't know how tough he is, introverted. Not anymore, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of Harbaugh's greatest superpowers is instilling confidence in his team. Absolutely. And you've seen it through the entire organization for the Chargers immediately. I mean, that was beginning in week 1 for that team. And so now the 9-6 Chargers have that tiebreaker over the Broncos. Thanks to this win, they're now 6 and 7 seed respectively in the AFC. And you talked about the Dolphins, the Colts. I think the Bengals have no shot at catching the Chargers, but they still can catch the Broncos because of that tiebreaker. Mm-hmm. And essentially what has to happen is the Chargers or Broncos have to lose out in 9 and 8, and the other teams have to win out, and then it would go to that division or the conference tiebreaker, which I think the Chargers and Broncos are both like 5 and 5 right now. And if they were to lose out and the Colts or the Dolphins were to win out, they would have the tiebreaker and would have a better record as far as conference tiebreaker. So it's not over yet, but it was a big jump there, and it's a big gap. You just got to win one more game if you're the Chargers, essentially.
Almost a foregone conclusion of the 7 teams we're going to see in the AFC are pretty darn close. This is one thing I remember you said maybe a month ago about the Chargers. And there's a handful of teams we've mentioned it with that they beat good teams, they lose to bad teams. I kind of think both these teams are that way. Like if you look at their victories, they're not against the great teams, but that's okay. They're both successful seasons.
Yeah. Well, they both had one win over teams that were better than 500 on the season. Yeah. And now the Chargers have 2 because their second is against the Chargers or against the Broncos now. And so I don't know if you even learned much because that was already kind of, and their strength of victory, if you look at it's like 300 winning percentage for their opponents. So a nice little schedule for these teams to get in there. But I think a statement game and a nice confidence builder. And you can really see the difference with Ladd McConkey out there for Justin Herbert too, right?
Absolutely.
I was actually surprised, and I'm looking at the box score, 6 for 87 yards. I thought it was going to be like 10 for 150. It felt like he was open all night and made all kinds of catches. But, I guess a pretty mediocre line for what I saw of him out there and just always getting open. And, he's been huge as a rookie for those Chargers this year.
It feels like that's how he's been all year. He's just always open and putting up numbers. And you look at the box score and you're like, boy, I thought he had more. And I don't mean that as a knock. I mean it as a compliment because I feel like that's probably what he's going to do for the next 8 to 10 years is just get open and move the chains and make plays. He's really good.
As long as he can stay healthy and live within the trees there as that kind of diminutive slot receiver. But man, he can get open, and a phenomenal catch and run too with the chest pass from Herbert with Haskins making plays. And as they add more talent to Jim Harbaugh's offense on that side of the ball with Justin Herbert, you really get the feeling that they're rolling there with the Chargers with how they're playing this thing, and immediately a playoff team now.
And maybe the Denver stumbled a little, but they've outkicked their coverage this year, and they're going to get some playoff experience. And Chargers might be my team that I pick next year. I think that they're getting a lot of foundation poured.
I want to go to a couple of stories and mix it in with the games as we're making picks here. And one is the Detroit Lions got good news on David Montgomery. And the report is that David Montgomery spent the last few days, according to Ian Rappaport, talking with medical experts and getting second and third opinions. And, you hope they got good opinions and didn't just keep checking until they found a guy that said, sure, yeah, you can come back in 6 weeks. So sources are now optimistic that David Montgomery has avoided season-ending surgery that was initially feared, and he'll be able to rehab and potentially return at some point in the postseason. And there's already been talk that potentially Aiden Hutchinson would be able to come back if the Lions were, NFC Championship and maybe the Super Bowl especially. And so who knows? Maybe the Lions able to get through their injury woes, win in the playoffs, get to the Super Bowl. You have David Montgomery and Aiden Hutchinson back for them.
It is big news. Because obviously we're talking about not winning the division or getting in the playoffs, although winning the division is not a foregone conclusion either. I actually just heard this today. If the Vikings win out because they have the Lions on the schedule, they're the 1 seed, so this is not a foregone conclusion. But obviously the goal here, after being a Final Four team last year and as good as their season is what can we do to get to the Super Bowl? And Hutchinson and Montgomery go a long way.
More clinching scenarios next. We're going to make our picks for that Lions game for Vikings Seahawks. The Eagles can put away the division as well with a win at Washington, and a whole lot more from Week 16 next. This episode of Peacock and Williamson brought to you by Prize Picks. And you can make your holidays bigger and brighter now with Prize Picks because it's the best place to get real money action while watching your favorite sports. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. It couldn't be easier. It couldn't be more fun. All you do is you pick 2 or more players and you pick the more than or less than on their Prize Picks projections, and you can watch the winnings roll in. And the more you get right, the more money you win. Up to 1,000 times your money now on Prize Picks. And when you join now this holiday season, Prize Picks is giving away 2 free picks in December, and they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Pixmas. And Prize Picks now offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. I mean, they're always super quick. They put their members first at Prize Picks. All withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When your picks hit, you can get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. So download the app today or use code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code LOCKEDONNFL at Prize Picks to win $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. And Prize Picks, run your game. Getting pumped for these college football playoffs that start this weekend and Saturday, December 21st. It all gets going on TNT. And of course, I mean, the 12-team playoff, it's a new format. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to create so much more just intensity in these playoffs and give some other teams an opportunity to get in there that might not have had the opportunity before. So it's that time of year. College football playoffs are back and newly expanded 12-team format, guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing you all the hard-hitting and high-flying excitement that you love. TNT Sports coverage of the college football playoff begins December 21st, starting with the college football playoff kickoff show presented by AT&T at 11 a.m. Eastern, leading into the first matchup, SMU battling Penn State at noon Eastern. Then you got the Clemson Tigers looking to upset the Texas Longhorns in a showdown at 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss a moment of the action. Watch the college football playoff presented by Allstate live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max. All right, let's make a pick for that Lions game since we've already teased that one, and we'll take you through the Week 16 Sunday and Monday schedule here. It's the Lions at the Bears. The Bears are in a real tough spot, keep losing football games. The Lions finding ways to win. They have fallen to 12-2. There's some openings for teams to jump in there and win that 1 seed. With the injuries, the Lions would love to secure that 1 seed in the NFC, have an extra week to heal up before they play their first playoff game. 12-2 Lions at the 4-10 Bears. Lions on the road favored by 7.
Yeah, kind of exciting game. I mean, I don't think we're going to get a lot of weather from what I understand, recording this on Friday. Lions don't play many outdoor games, and I do think their defense being depleted could lead to a lot of points, which I think could be fun. I don't think the line's quite big enough for me, though. I still think there's a lot of teams nipping on the Lions' heels. They need this game. They're the better team. You'd love to have Montgomery and grind them down, but I still think Gibbs and St. Brown and Goff and all those guys should be able to beat this line.
Yeah, and the Bears just don't look like that team that can take advantage of this. Even
No.
a touchdown spread at home, they just have not looked like that team the last couple of weeks. They look like the worst team in the league. Maybe too much changeover this season with the multiple interim and changes of coaches there, and the defense has looked bad with the new play caller there on that side of the ball as well. So at least Eberflus has that to hang his hat on. But yeah, I got to take the Lions here with a lot more to play for right now than the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
How about this story? The New York Jets, by the way, are hosting the Los Angeles Rams. Big one for the Rams that control their destiny, and they can win the West and get in the playoffs. If they just win the last 3 weeks of the season, that's all they need to do. Even if the Seahawks win, the Rams would have that tiebreaker. The New York Jets have been eliminated long ago. Not a lot to play for here. Haven't won a lot of games since their head coach changed. But if you want to know about dysfunction of an organization and why sometimes it doesn't matter who your quarterback is or your head coach or your GM because of how ownership does things, this story is like, I had to triple check if this was Diana Rossini's real account when I saw this tweet and her latest from The Athletic. It's kind of
Adam Schefter.
Yeah, exactly. And so along with Mike Silver and some other writers, they put together a piece here talking about the Jets' dysfunction and some of the over-involvement and impulsiveness of ownership and why, and we've talked about this a lot, why certain organizations continue to fail. And Woody Johnson apparently nicked a trade for Jerry Jeudy last offseason because he felt his Madden rating was too low, Matt.
It's insane to me. So I wish I could cite it. I was listening to a podcast and they were saying some things too about the teenage sons of Woody that influence things a great deal. Like they're the ones that give out the game balls, and Olbrich wins his first ever game as a head coach. It's like set in stone. You give that head coach a game ball. They gave it to Garrett Wilson or something, and they're Instagramming it the whole time. And like, what is going on here? And
it's a toy. It's
none of this shocks me, I guess.
It's a toy for someone who's out of touch with what football is and the fan bases. And I talk about this all the time, especially when you get to like off season and post draft stuff. And fans want to believe, and everyone's every year you draft 7 Hall of Famers, right? And so whenever I am on Locked On 49ers, and maybe a little critical of a draft pick, and like, I don't know about this and this, and it's always like, oh well, I think they know more about it than you do, And when you get stories like this, it's like, yeah, just remember this: you care about this team maybe more than the people in the building that are running the football team. And it's a play toy for some of these owners. They didn't grow up in football. They don't own the team because they love football and live and die by football. And some of them do. It's a job for some of these GMs. It's a job for some of these coaches. Just because you can call plays doesn't mean you're amazing at evaluation, and there's biases. And so they make mistakes all the time. And you care about this football team quite literally more than most people in any NFL building if you're an NFL fan.
And I've been there. I mean, the boots on the ground area scout does A+ work, evaluates the guy perfectly. That goes to the director of college scouting. He agrees. We're right on the same page. Perfect fit for our left guard position. And then it goes to the GM, who maybe is a cap guy or a money dude. And you can still convince him, okay, we're still going to take that left guard out of Auburn. And then the head coach puts his stamp of approval on. Perfect. And then the owner says, let's take Johnny Manziel.
I was just Johnny Manziel. He comes in, he was like, yeah, I don't know. That's marketing. I want this popular flashy thing.
Yeah, and we're not taking a left guard.
Quarterback, so have fun. And yeah, no, a perfect example, man.
Yeah.
How about those Jets? Let's see what the line is. I already lost it. The line is, it's only 3 for the Rams, who are red hot against the ice cold New York Jets on the road.
Yeah, you're kind of tipping your hand, and I am too. I like the Rams -3. I could see points, though. It sure seems like Aaron Rodgers is dedicated to changing the taste in everyone's mouth as he finishes this season / career or whatever. And he's going to feed his buddy Devontae and ride off in the sunset, or ride off together, or go to a new team, or come back and convince Woody. I don't know. But I'll take the Rams -3.
Yeah, that might be fun for some fireworks too here. So
yeah.
And look, the Rams defense can be had some at times. We saw the 44-42 matchup against the Bills a couple of weeks ago. Not so many points in the rain last week against the 49ers, but the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, whether he's retiring or still wants to play, there's a little something to play for, legacy-wise, showcase-wise.
He's aware.
And, he's got Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams out there. They should be able to put up some points. And it's been disappointing how lethargic at times that offense has looked, how difficult it's looked sometimes for them to put up points on offense. But he's shown some signs recently. So that it's a sneaky fun game there with the Rams and the Jets. But I got to take the Rams. They're just playing better football right now.
Yeah, I think they win. Stafford versus Rodgers. I mean, they Hall of Fame old quarterbacks,
Right. The Philadelphia Eagles at 12-2 at the 9-5 Commanders, and the Eagles can clinch the NFC East with a win. I mean, the Eagles are going to be in the playoffs, right? But they can put away the Commanders. But a good opportunity for the Commanders to make a statement here. The upstarts to say, not so fast, Eagles. You're not going to clinch on our watch in our house in Week 16. Philly on the road, favored by 3.5.
And I think the exact opposite happens. This is my favorite bet of the week. I'm gladly laying 3.5. I think the Eagles look at this as a big brother situation. There's a really good chance they meet in the first round of the playoffs. They want to extinguish any life that Washington has. They're clearly the better team. I only see one weapon on Washington, and the Eagles D, I think, is the best in the league right now. I can't imagine them getting much of a pass rush. I don't know where Washington has advantages in this game.
We talked about Cliff earlier with Cliff Kingsbury in the offense. You're looking at Jaden Daniels' statistics, and he's really fallen off and actually even leave the door open a little bit for offensive rookie of the year in some cases. He's got 3,000 passing yards, 17 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, still a good season, especially for a rookie quarterback. But they're not quite humming like they were in the first half of the year. McLaurin could go over 1,000 yards. He's at 969 with 11 touchdowns coming into this game. You talked about that lone weapon on the offense now for Washington.
Good one.
I'm with you, and I know they're on the road, but the Eagles have a chance to just still remind everybody who the big brother is in that division, and I'm going to give up those 3.5 points.
Yeah. I'm torn between Daniels and Goff in my fantasy playoff game. It used to be an easy decision. It's not right now.
Yeah, I think I might go Goff there.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning that way too.
Yeah, although cold weather, probably cold. Let's see, what's the weather in?
I'm sure it's cold, but I don't think it's supposed to be bad.
Yeah, it's just kind of cold, 30 degrees in both cities at this moment. So that's kind of what we're looking at as we head towards the weekend. All right, more picks next for Week 16, including a good one with the Seahawks and the Vikings with playoff implications next. This episode of Peacock and Williamson brought to you by Hillsdale College. Time is our most precious commodity, so don't waste it scrolling through the same mind-numbing content for hours and hours. How can you spend it wisely to improve yourself? Our sponsor, Hillsdale College, is offering more than 40 free. That's right, free online courses, including history, economics, the great works of literature. Have you studied these recently? Did you study them at all in school? Could you use a refresher? Yeah, you probably could, right? And all of Hillsdale's courses are self-paced, so you can start whenever, tune in wherever. Plus, you can go deeper with readings, quizzes, discussions, or just enjoy the lectures. So go right now to hillsdale.edu/lockedon to enroll. There's no cost. It's easy to get started. That's hillsdale.edu/lockedon to register. And remember, more than 40 free courses right now online at Hillsdale College, hillsdale.edu/lockedon. About the Vikings at the Seahawks here. The 12-2 Vikings at the 8-6 Seahawks. The Minnesota Vikings favored by 3. Another road favorite here. But this might be a team where the home Seahawks are a little more up to the challenge.
This is a tough one for me because I have a lot of respect for both defenses, and I think both O-lines are really struggling in protection right now, especially since the Darisaw injury. But at least it's not Howe. I think Geno navigates that a lot better. I'm going to lay the points. I'm going to take the Vikes here. I probably like the under, though.
Oh, you think it might be a little bit of a slog there? Could be a little bit of a wet one. Geno being back. And do we have confirmation there?
I think it's strongly considered, yeah.
I mean, it's not like Geno's been amazing. He's been throwing the ball to the team a little bit too much. He's got nearly the Kirk Cousins as many interceptions as touchdown line. He's one away, so he's getting precipitously close to that 17 or 14 touchdowns to 13 interceptions right now on the season. I really want to pick some of these home dogs, but I don't think I can with the Minnesota Vikings. It's only 3, even 4. I might say, okay, let's do it. Lose by a field goal, Seahawks, but Seahawks are just such an up and down team this year. And the Vikings haven't been like the way they're playing both sides of the ball. So give me Minnesota. I'll give up those 3 points on the road.
Okay.
Let's go to the Titans and the Colts. We talked about the slim possibility of the Colts still being able to win out and get a little bit of luck with a couple of losses and getting some tiebreakers at 9-8 and sneaking into the wild card scenario in the playoffs. But they have to beat the Titans if they want that to happen, because any combination of wins and losses in those scenarios, then it's over. So the season could be over for the Colts. So they have a lot to play for here against the Tennessee Titans, and it's an early game as well. Colts favored by 3.5 over Tennessee.
If it was under 3, I think I would go with the Colts. And I would assume if I'm coaching the Colts in desperation time, I'm going to run Richardson a lot, but they're playing with a backup center, backup right guard, backup right tackle. And I think Tennessee's D is legit. Those defensive tackles are butt kickers, to say the least. And Hey, I'm not the biggest Mason Rudolph fan, but the chances of him throwing multiple pick sixes or craziness is way lower than Levis. I think they can keep a division game close.
Right. And that's what I'm thinking. You look at this game, it could be a little bit ugly, and they try to, win it on the ground, and both teams do. And I love how Tyjae Spears plays.
I don't think Pollard's going to play.
And so, they're fine there, even if Tony Pollard's been really banged up the last few weeks. Now we know why Tyjae Spears got so much work at the second half of last game after Pollard had just come back. Pollard's still close to that 1,000-yard mark, so he's got to get in and play one more game this year and get 18 more yards and hit that century mark or the 1,000 mark. But like a close game. It's 3.5 too. That extra half doing a lot of work here. So I'm going to take the Titans to crush the Colts' dreams in Week 16.
Yep, me too. At least keep it close.
Giants and Falcons. Falcons have to have this one, and it's Michael Penix. This one's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be tuned. I would for sure have not watched any second of this game that didn't pop up on my red zone on Sunday. But since it's Michael Penix, I might have it in as game number 1 in the morning. The Falcons at 7-7 got to win this one, and they're 8.5-point favorites, even with the rookie quarterback in his first start over the 2-12 Giants.
This isn't a unique take by me and by any stretch, but I can't imagine any quarterback making his first career start has been favored by this much on the road. I mean,
no, they're at home.
They are at home. Either way, it's still my point stands. I mean, they're over a touchdown favorite this late in the year too. It usually means things are going terribly wrong. But I think the Giants are like officially that team that I can't give enough points for me to bet on. Just give it to Bijan and then give it to Algier when the game's out of line.
I do want to apologize to Kirk Cousins because he did actually throw a couple touchdown passes, and it's no longer the 16-16 TD to interception ratio. He's got 18 touchdowns to 16 interceptions, so he's in the +2 category there. But I hope that Michael Penix is in the plus category after this game. I don't know, man. This is so frustrating because it seems like too many points. The Giants are just so bad.
They're so bad right now.
And
I don't think they want to get out of that top 2 spot.
Yeah, I guess a rookie quarterback. But there's no confidence that offense is going to do anything and be able to score enough points to keep pace. So I'm going to give up the points and take the Atlanta Falcons. And it's more about how bad the Giants are, and hopeful that Michael Penix does look good. And look, he only has to play bad and they'll be right on par with where the Falcons are.
Like, I could see us getting together Monday and be like, well, if you had Bijan Robinson, you probably won your fantasy game, moved on. Just give it to him a million times and dump it to him and run all over these guys.
A lot of dump offs. Yeah. And then maybe a little play action, make one big throw in there and you're golden. Cincinnati Bengals hostess still have a chance. They can only run down the Broncos. That's the only scenario right now for the Cincinnati Bengals. They got to win out. Broncos lose out, and that means they need help from basically everybody. They're not going to get it. But they're favored by 9 against the Cleveland Browns right now in Week 16. Man,
DTR, no running game. Like, I don't think Njoku and Tillman are questionable. I don't know that you can use Judy anymore in fantasy. Division game. I think the Bengals put up a lot of points in this one. They may allow more than they should, but I just don't know where the offense comes from with the Browns. I'll lay the points while the Bengals are still alive.
Yeah, and if the Browns defense can limit Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense, and a lot of people haven't this year. I mean, there's a lot of clamoring for Joe Burrow to be MVP of the league because what he's doing with no help from the defensive side of the football team. And he's been phenomenal this year. 9 points that's feels an awful lot. But man, DTR, I could see this being a disaster game for the Browns. So reluctantly, just like the last one, I'm going to give up those 9 points and take the Cincinnati Bengals because it's got to be a big line or else
consider it. Yeah,
right. It should climb more though. It starts to get to this should probably be closer to that. I guess it's a division rivalry game, so maybe that keeps it a little bit closer. But we've seen some of those like 14.5, 16-point lines. I feel like it should be more like that.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like Patriots Bills. I mean it's 14. Like some of these, it's a weird time of year. I mean it's just some of these teams really don't have much motivation.
Cardinals have a little motivation. They still got a shot. It's only about I don't know what the percentages are offhand, but obviously they need a lot of help from the Seahawks and the Rams if they're gonna try to sneak in here. And it is the 7-7 Cardinals at the 3-11 Panthers, and Cards are favored by 5 on the road.
I don't feel strong at all about it, but this number's enough for me to go with the Panthers. I mean, I think their offense is showing enough signs of life. I don't see a ton of defensive talent on either side of this game. Long road trip, 1 o'clock start. Arizona probably wins, but I think it's close.
By the way, Budda Baker re-upped there. He's a heart and soul player.
Oh, yeah.
Building foundationally on the defense, and we didn't really get a chance to talk about that this week. So good on him, and I think it's a fantastic move for the Cardinals to keep that leadership and their best player on the defensive side of the ball around for a while to build this thing out. They're not quite there, but and as competitive as the Panthers have been, I think the Cards have a lot to play for here. I'm going to give up those 5 points and take the Cardinals. So I'm not trying to make the same picks as you this week to try to keep things close. Lead in our season-long picks, but we're going to differ on this one. So yeah, I'm going to take the Cards. Let's see. We got Patriots Bills, and the Pats are 14-point underdogs on the road against the Buffalo Bills.
I don't feel strong about it either, just because I could see Trubisky in there late and maybe the backdoor cover, but I can't take the Patriots, so I'll stick with the Bills. And
speaking of cold weather games, it's a brisk 16 degrees right now in Buffalo. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like on Sunday, but it is the later game for some reason in the afternoon. So that'll probably warm things up a little bit, a couple more hours of potential gloomy sunshine there in Buffalo. Gosh, yeah. The Bills offense is just zooming, and they're going to put up points. Can Drake May and the Patriots offense muster that many points? I'm going to bet against it. I'm going to take another big favorite here and give up the 50. We've got the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Las Vegas Raiders. Vegas at home favored by 1.5 points. Raiders favored at this point in the year. Mac Jones showed a little something last week with the Jaguars. I feel like I got to go that way.
I'm taking points.
Yeah.
This is a horrendous game.
I'm with you, man. It's a horrendous game, and so I think just points anyway, but Jaguars got more going on right now than the Raiders, as bad as both these teams are.
Yeah, Brian Thomas, there's a couple fun rookies, Bowers and Thomas, and O'Connell and Mack aren't horrendous. I just think that the Giants and Raiders, with their 2 losses, don't want to be that team that the Jacksonville Jags just became, where you win a game and now I'm picking 9th and I can't get my quarterback.
Yeah, because you could go from 2 to 9 real quick right now with all the 3-win teams in the NFL.
What if the Jags win? Are they going to be picking like 13?
Well, there's enough teams there's all these teams with 6 wins too.
Right.
Are the 49ers and the Dolphins both hanging on? Again, there's a lot of teams hanging on to like 1% chances to make the playoffs. Everything has to go right. It's a little bit more feasible for the Dolphins than even the 49ers, but not dead yet. They will be dead, whichever other team loses this game. Miami now favored by 1 point at home, hosting those San Francisco 49ers.
I like Miami here. I don't think Waddle's going to play, and neither one of these teams have great mojo, but I do think Miami has better mojo at the moment. At home, you're going to give me a point. Okay. I mean, like Deebo Samuel's not doing anything. And I don't know. I have a hard time backing the Niners. I kind of feel like they just want the season to be over.
Yeah, it's been a rough slog for the San Francisco 49ers this year. Dre Greenlaw is limited, and my thing with the Niners and their defense is if you have Bosa playing and Warner and Greenlaw are out there and Talanoa Hufanga is back, like those guys all together, the defense has looked different. And if that's the case, no Waddle, banged up offensive line for the Dolphins, I would take the Niners and take the 1 point on the road. But, this one's just like so close. These teams are mirror images of each other.
I know.
Right now with the way
That's
things
what the home team.
Obviously the coaching tree similarities there. If I got points with the Dolphins at home, I would take them. I'm going to take the 1 point with the Niners on the road. I have no idea what to expect with this game. I think it'll be close though.
Okay.
And we got the Buccaneers Cowboys on Sunday night. The Bucs trying to put away the Falcons and win the NFC South, and the Cowboys just trying to ride off into the offseason with respectability. Tampa favored by 4 on the road.
This is another one of my favorites. I like where the Bucs are at. I mean, I think their O-line, their run game, Baker, Evans is trying to get that streak going, and I think they win this one by a touchdown or so.
I'm with you. I like the Bucs big. Love the way they're playing right now. Phenomenal. Even some MVP votes for Baker Mayfield potentially, man.
Wow.
He's not going to win it, but just impressive.
Great year.
Yeah.
Great year.
Saints are at the Packers. Packers favored by 14 points on Monday Night Football, man.
Boy, does that seem like a lot, but no Kamara, no pass catchers, third string quarterbacks, basically. I know that they're backups, but I don't know where the Saints points come from. And maybe they backdoor cover and Green Bay just runs the ball the entire second half and they can't cover this big number, but the Saints might not get to 10 points.
Yeah, I like the Packers in this one. It's a huge line for a reason. I probably wouldn't put my own hard-earned money on this one, but we got to make picks, and so there's no way I can bet on the Saints with where they're at. By the way, more importantly, for everyone in their fantasy playoffs, do you plug in Kendrick Miller?
Desperation.
Yeah, only if you got nothing else and no starting.
Yeah, I just don't see many first downs.
Yeah, and they're going to be throwing a lot, and maybe you get some PPR dump-offs in that sort of a case, but you don't get enough plays and you don't get enough rushes for your running backs. So,
it's concerning. This is a turn the game off at halftime type Monday night, get some sleep, get ready for Christmas Eve.
Yeah, that's true, right?
You know?
Really good Christmas games as well, and you get a preview of all those teams on Saturday as well. And we already did our picks for the Saturday and Thursday games, so check out Wednesday's pod for that one. Thanks everybody for making us your first listen. Matt and I back next week. Of course, we'll be breaking down all the games from week 16 right here. Peacock and Williamson.